Broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Welcome to our Doobert Live Power Hour. We're so excited to give you a first-hand demo of the tool and allow you to ask questions directly, which is awesome. Thank you so much for being here. I want to also pause for a second and celebrate a couple people who are our brave ones who took the plunge and already completed their first transport. So Amanda with Southern Pines and Rebecca with NorCal Boxer. Thank you so much for being our pioneers and getting in there and asking great questions. We hope that you'll ask more questions today of things that you're trying to figure out as we do this live demo. A few housekeeping items to get us started to make sure that you know how to ask questions. If you look at the panel on the right, you'll see towards the bottom a dashboard and attendees and a questions area. You'll use the arrow to click on that to maximize and open that question window, and that is where you will type in the questions that you have. They'll be submitted to me as the facilitator, and I will make sure that I surface those throughout where I find natural pauses that are relevant to what's being talked about so that we make sure that you get your questions answered. We'll also pause a little bit at the end to make sure if there are any other questions that haven't been answered that you get that chance at that time as well. So without further ado, I'm going to turn the time over to Chris and Rachel with Doobert, and we appreciate so much them taking out of their time to be here with us. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Amy. Hi, everybody. This is Chris Roy. So I'm the creator of Doobert, and I'm really excited to walk you guys through today. So we'll start with just a couple of slides of PowerPoint. I promise we won't do the whole thing in PowerPoint. We'll actually dive into the software and show you exactly how it works. But just to kind of give you the gist of it, that Best Friends and Doobert have partnered to make transports easy. We understand that transports are an important part of what you need to do, and I'm excited to show you what we've built with Doobert as a tool set to try and help you to save more lives. So why Doobert? As I mentioned, transport is an important part of reaching a no-kill nation by 2025. And Best Friends has been an amazing partner to help us continue to build out the functionality that rescue groups and shelter organizations need in order to get volunteer-based transport. So we'll walk through the different types of transport and things that you can do. But that's kind of why we're doing this as a part of the No Kill 2025. So let's talk a little bit about what Doobert does and how Doobert helps. I've got some screenshots in here, and again, we'll show you the live. But really, what you need to think about Doobert is software. It's software that's delivered via a website. And so there's a lot of functionality that kind of sits behind it. So what Doobert does is a couple of things. First, we try to help connect organizations, such as the rescues and the shelters. We try to help connect you guys to find one another. So we'll talk about our supply and demand map. We've got now I checked this morning, over 22,000 volunteers that are signed up on the platform. And what that means is that any organization that's on Doobert has access to 22,000 volunteers. You can kind of see a little bit on this map. They're spread all over the country. There's a volunteer map that kind of shows you where the largest portions of them are. But as I like to say, these are your volunteers. These are volunteers that want to help animals, and Doobert is just trying to help bring them to you. The last thing I kind of mentioned is we do have this concept of a supply and demand map. So one of the challenges we know is finding, if you're a sending organization, finding organizations that are looking to receive animals of all different types. And if you're a receiving organization, we know that you're looking for source organizations. And in some cases, you might be both. So what we've tried to do is to make a map that you can search, you can click on, lots of different ways that you can use it to find the type of partner organizations that you want to work with. They could be down the street, they could be across the country. Really, it's entirely up to you as an organization who you want to work with and who you want to interact with. We just want to do our best to provide the technology to bring them to you and make it easier for you guys to connect. So a couple of things I want to point out. One of the things that I'm often asked is, oh, well, it would be great if Doobert works for, local rides like it does long distance transports. And the answer is it does. So in a moment, we'll talk about the different types of transport that Doobert supports, but keep in mind, this can be used for helping you to get an animal to a foster home or to a vet appointment. So it could be something across town, Or as you can see in the picture here, it can be a longer distance transport, what is often known as a rescue relay transport. So you'll see a lot of functionality as we go through Doobert. It's very automated, and it's designed to help the volunteers to get signed up and keep you guys informed, as well as to keep them informed. When you think about what does it mean to create a transport on Doobert, what you're really doing is you're creating the transport, you're creating a transaction. And when you publish that, then Doobert's going to go to work, and as you can see on the picture, it's going to plot the route on Google Maps, and it's going to automatically notify the volunteers and generate a unique sign-up page for them to sign up for that transport. So whether you have 1 leg or 100 legs, Doobert's going to do the work of all the notification of which volunteers, which ones are available on that day and which location, so that you don't have to do all that. You'll just simply put in some basic information so that we know what to put on this transport and how to show that to the users. And then Doobert will go to work and do all the notifications for you. I do want to mention that Doobert is free for everyone. I'm often asked by people, well, how much does this cost? And it's free. So it's free both to the volunteers. We've got different types of volunteers. We'll show you in a second what that looks like. But there's transporters. We also have fosters, photographers, and virtual and in-person volunteers. The cool thing about this is volunteers manage their profiles, right? So they have full control over how they want to participate. They can set a radius from their zip code and the days that they're available so that they're controlling when they get notifications. They can even opt to be Doobert verified. I think the most frequently asked question I get is, do you verify your volunteers? And the way I answer that is that in Doobert, we have 2 levels of volunteers. So every volunteer that signs up is a general Doobert volunteer, and then they can choose to be Doobert verified. And if they choose to be Doobert verified, we do a couple of things. One is we require their driver's license so that we can validate who they are. We check their references, and we even do public record checking to try and verify them as legitimately as we can. And you'll see those people throughout the system because they'll have a little highlighted badge that shows that they've been Doobert verified, and we actually re-verify them on an annual basis. For organizations, it's also free. So I'll show you the difference between the 2 sides of Doobert, the volunteer side and the organization side. But every organization, again, is validated by Doobert when you sign up. For those of you that have already signed up and applied on Doobert, you know that. And for those of you that haven't done that yet, I'll walk you through just in a second how to go ahead and do that. But we do this to make sure that it's kept safe and that you understand that the organizations that you're dealing with in Doobert are legitimate animal rescue and animal shelter organizations. So we're doing our best to try and keep Doobert safe and to make sure that it's focused on animal rescue. Organizations in Doobert have full control over how they want to do things. So I've tried to make the functionality as flexible as possible so that you can decide, what types of volunteers you want to work with, what other organizations you want to work with. There's a lot of advanced features that we won't have time to go through today, but I encourage you to check out some of the links that we'll send out. So you can control things like which volunteers sign up for your transports. You can make them sign up, you can make them agree to additional terms and conditions. There's all sorts of features that we've tried to build in so that you are in complete control as to how you want to run your transport program. So if you haven't signed up yet, be sure to go to doobert.com/bestfriendsanimalsociety, and I'll show you what that looks like here. When you go to that page, you'll see 2 options. It says just me or my organization. And for all of you that are on this webinar today, you're going to want to make sure to select my organization because that's what's going to allow you to actually create the transports and access the volunteers and things like that. Everybody that signs up has a unique account. So you can create a login with an email and password, or if you choose, you can use your Facebook account. Some people choose to do that because then they don't have to remember yet another password. So however you want to do it, it's totally fine and up to you. As an organization, just to kind of give you a glance, there's four pages that happen when you sign up as an organization. Pretty simple. First, we're just confirming the type of organization you are. And then on page 2, we're just getting some basic information, right? Your address, an acronym, city, state, just so we know where you are on the map. Number 3 is for references. So we do differentiate between rescue groups and animal shelters. to check references, to try to, again, legitimize as much as possible everybody that's a part of the platform. And then the final one is really we help you to facilitate signing up your organization profile page. On Doobert, each organization kind of has their own page, their own public page that you can reference and use however you like. And it's got all the information about your organization, the rules for interaction, all those kinds of things. So entirely up to you. The final piece that I've highlighted here is on the last step, there is an optional thing that you can do, which is called joining a coalition. And the cool part of joining a coalition is that, you know, all of you that are on this are part of the Best Friends Network Partners. And there is a Best Friends Network Partner Coalition that you can choose to join. And what that allows you to do is to get some additional help from the Best Friends Coalition admins. And you'll see that feature as you're searching for things in the system. You can limit your searches just by coalition partners or other partners. So it's just an additional level that allows you to filter out who you want to work with. If you would like a coalition, so what this might be is an organization that has 3 or 4 locations, or maybe you have your own coalition in the state or by breed or whatever it might be, just shoot us an email. You'll see anywhere throughout the system. We've called it out here, support@doobert.com. There's a help button. But if you'd like a coalition created so that your members can sign up, your organizations that you all work with can sign up in your coalition, just let us know. And then we'll add that, we'll get it created and get you set up, and then people can request to join your coalition as well. And then just real quick, in case you're wondering from a volunteer side, what does it look like to volunteers? It looks like a little different. So if they click on, they want to sign up just me instead of the My Organization, we facilitate them through the different ways that they can help. So rescue relay, local rides, foster home, and then if they click more options, you know, photographer, lost animal, et cetera, et cetera. So very simple for them. They have full control over how they want to participate because everything is opt-in. So all of these things allow them to kind of make their profile work the way that they want it to. All right, I know you guys are not here to listen to me talk at PowerPoint for you. So I'll just end with saying we have 4 types of transports, and we're going to go through these. But the rescue relay transport is the one that is for longer distance transports. Then we have local rides, which are great. They even allow you to have text messages sent to the volunteers. We have airline employee transports, which are, you know, for smaller animals that can go in the cabin. We've got a lot of airline employees that have volunteered and set up a profile for that. And then the last one I call Lifts for All. So if any of you on this call have your own vehicle, your own transport vehicle, maybe a shelter van, what you're able to do is actually list the transports you're doing. And if you had additional space, we'll actually make that available to other organizations. So if you wanted to be able to say, hey, look, we've got capacity for 30 on our transport van, but we're only taking 20. If you let us know through this Lifts for All, if you let us know where you're going and when, we'll actually now use that to make that additional 10 spots available to other organizations to make a reservation. And you'll have, again, full control over approving, rejecting who you want to be able to do that. But it's a great way for us all to help each other out. I think you'd be surprised if we got everybody to put in their routes, how many transports are actually taking place across the country all the time. Okay, so I'm going to stop on this one here and flip over to the system. But as I mentioned, we're here to help. There's a help support button throughout the system, even in the mobile app. And you'll see it'll just do a little pop-up button, a pop-up window like this, where you can give us your name, your email, what you need. And then Rachel and I are the support team behind Doobert, so it'll be one or the other of us that'll be getting back to you. But if there's any problems or bugs or you don't understand how to do something, please ask. We're more than happy to help you. And if you have ideas on things, if you say, you know, it'd really be great if this feature would work like this, or if we could do that, I love to hear that kind of stuff because it allows me to keep making Doobert better, so that it helps you guys to save more lives. Okay, so just to show you real quick, this is what the sign up page looks like that we talked about. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to now flip over into the software. I'm going to use the Doobert sandbox more just so that I can do transactions without them going out. But it's the same way for you guys. So everything you'll see in here will be exactly what it looks like in the live site as well. So I'm just going to pause before I get too far. Amy, any questions that I need to address from the PowerPoint?
Nothing so far. Don't be shy, you guys. Maybe we probably have a fair amount who have maybe signed up or whatever, but so I'm sure once you get into the meat of it, I have no doubt we'll probably have some. But as of right now, you're good.
Okay, great. Yep, so please feel free to ask questions or tell me to slow down if I'm talking too fast. I get excited to show you guys how this works. So when you log into Doobert, I know the first time it's a little overwhelming. So I just want to show you kind of the different sections. And then as you start to use it, you'll see that it hopefully becomes a little bit more intuitive to you. So we're going to start up here in the upper right. So you see you've got a little icon, right, with some links for your organization settings and things like that. You've got a button for My Organization Dashboard and then My Dashboard. And the difference is really between the organization side and the volunteer side. So every person has their own login to Doobert. And you might be, if you're the first person to request to the organization, we consider you the organization owner. But you can actually add your team. So you might have members within your animal shelter that you work with and you say, hey, look, I want to give them access to our organization. You can totally do that. You might be a part of a rescue group maybe that is supporting multiple organizations. You can do that as well. So the key here is the difference is when you're on the organization dashboard, you're acting as an organization. And then when you're on the My Dashboard, you're actually acting as a volunteer. And that's kind of what the difference is between the two sides.
Hey, Chris, I'm going to pause right there and just let you know that Sherry Cahill is asking if it's sufficient to sign up as an organization, or do they need to also sign up as an individual too if they can personally provide transports?
Oh, that's a great question. Thank you for asking that. So the way I've designed it is you as a person only need to sign up once. So if you sign up your organization, by default, we're going to create a volunteer account for you. So that's what this My Dashboard is. So once you sign up as your organization, that organization is linked to you as a person. So you can see this one is linked to me. And what you can do is you can flip over to My Dashboard, go into My Profiles, right? And you can actually put your information. And Doobert is smart enough to know the difference between you as a person and you as an organization, so that you only have one login and you can actually choose which way you're acting. So if you're on the My Dashboard, you act as a volunteer, and on the My Organization, you act as an organization. Okay, great question. There's a couple other things. We've got this Getting Started guide in here that will link you out to some resources, kind of walk you through some different things. Again, we'll run through all this stuff today, but I know it's a lot to take in at once, so know that we've got that resource there. And so now let's take a look at what does it mean to be an organization in Doobert. So there's 4 tabs here, and you'll see that as I click on them, the buttons and the information below changes. So there's a Transport tab, an Animals tab, a Partners tab, and a Resources tab. So we'll work right to left here. The Resources tab should be relatively self-explanatory. We've got some maps where you can see upcoming transport maps. You can see the supply and demand map, the Doobert volunteer map here. It'll take just a second to load. But you can see where all the...
While that's loading, Chris, do you mind, while we're talking about kind of the sign-up process, if Sarah Rank wants to know, if you want to have multiple volunteers linked to your organization, i.e. president, vice president, etc., can you do that, or does it only link to one volunteer?
Oh, great question. Nope, you have the power. I'm going to flip back in here. You have the power to link as many volunteers as you want with access to your organization. So 2 ways you can do that. One is you can go into the Manage People here, so which is what we're going to do. And then you'll see this button here for Add Volunteer Permission. And what you're doing is you're essentially searching by their name or their email address. So let me just search by me here, find one that I've done. And when I go to add that person, it's going to say, how would you like to add them? You know, what types of privileges do you want to give them? Right, so I'll just add a few of these, right, and then I hit invite. And the system is going to send an invitation to that email, which is different than the one you're seeing here. But then you can go back and you can go add anybody else you want. So it's entirely up to you how many people you want to add. And at any time, you can manage your volunteer users. You can remove their permissions if you need to, or continue to add more people.
Thank you. Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
We have some questions about laws and regulations pertaining to interstate transports, but if there's a point where you're talking about that, if you'll just make sure to address that when that time comes, that would be awesome.
Yep, I'll get back to that in just a second. So just to show you, this is what the Doobert user map is. It will dynamically update, right? So the more volunteers that we get in Doobert, the more volunteers everybody gets. We will, when we send out the follow-up links and materials, we'll actually send you some information, that you're free to use to try and advertise to get more volunteers into the Doobert system. We can set up a sign-up page like I did for Best Friends. If you'd like an organization sign-up page, doobert.com/whatever your organization is, we're happy to do that. Anything we can do to help bring more volunteers to the table, because that will help you guys to more successfully complete your transports. So this just kind of gives you an idea that the numbers will change as you zoom in. So if I pick an area and zoom in, all the way down to, you see each person has a pin, both the organizations and the volunteers, right? So you'll see all the information, all the numbers of people, kind of where they are in relation to the map.
While you're talking about volunteers and organizations still, we have a question from Sunny, and she wants to know how she can find a no-kill, she as a no-kill shelter can find other no-kill shelters through Doobert to transport, or is that something outside of the interface? And she wants to tell you that she's excited about this service and she thinks it's great.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Let me show you, I'm going to hold that question and let me jump over and show you kind of the partners tab. I don't have anything specific that makes it easy to filter by no-kill, but I'd be willing to learn if there's a way that we can do that. But I'll show you how you can find the different organizations. But first, to the question before about state transport rules, one of the things on our resources tab is we have what I call the state rules or state resources map. And what I actually did is I actually had an intern that was working for me go literally state by state and create this interactive map that has the state import requirements, right? So we link to the actual site, right? So in this case, I chose Wisconsin because that's where I live. You can see if I were to click on this, it's going to open up the Wisconsin rules for animal movement. And we tried to then aggregate these into what are the basic rules transporting a cat, dog, rabbit, bird, etc. And the cool thing is we've got this for all 50 states, right? So you can very easily go through and look at what the requirements are. And I can give you an example. Colorado has some of the most stringent requirements for their types of transporters, and we're constantly trying to make this a valuable resource for you guys to link you to what's out there. So hopefully that answers that question. I'll get back to where I was. So that's what's on the resources tab. Again, feel free to click around on this stuff. You really can't break anything, and if you do, then you've got the help support button down here to tell me about it, right? So that I can go make sure to get it fixed. So moving right to left, the next tab is the partners tab. And for the person that was asking the question about finding another organization to work with. So I'm going to spend just a couple minutes on this to show you how easy it is. You can see I've already favorited a couple of partners, but on the partners tab down here, you'll see find and manage, and then we've got our partners, right? So our partners, new partners. I'm going to go ahead to the new partners. And you'll see that Doobert now allows you to either type in the name of the organization if you know who they are, or we default in your zip code and the radius to search. And what you're doing now is you're saying, I'm looking for somebody that is available to transfer dogs or cats, or somebody that has space for dogs or cats, right? So sending a receiving organization. You can show both Doobert and non-Doobert organizations. You'll see pretty easily if they're not a part of Doobert. We've got some information we've pulled in from different sources just so that we can show you as comprehensive of a look as we can. When you search for this, and remember I'm in my sandbox, so these are all just fake organizations. will show you at a glance the name of the organization, kind of what they've got in their profile, what they're available to transfer. You can even click to see the animals, and again, fake data, but it'll show you real time the animals that they've marked from their organization as available to transfer. So that you can, right from there, you can actually request that particular animal, and we'll facilitate that to that organization.
Chris, I'm going to
Yep.
float up a couple of questions.
Sure.
This is just high level. If there's a transport organization that isn't necessarily part of the Best Friends network, they can still be a part of the Doobert network, right? Because you can utilize your vetting process for that, correct?
That is absolutely true, and it's a really good question. So Doobert allows, you don't have to be a 501c3 IRS charity, because we do recognize that there are animal organizations that, such as a transport group or friends of animal shelter groups. So we're more than happy to welcome all of them. They'll still go through the same screening process so that we can verify that they're a legitimate organization.
Perfect. And then while we're paused for just a second, they also want to know, this is Sarah, that they are a local animal control facility, and they have a newsletter of animals that they want to transfer out due to rescues before being euthanized. And so she wants to know, does she add them as a new animal to transfer out every week? And do you have a mixed breed selection when selecting an animal breed when adding new animals?
Yeah, great. So those are great questions. I'm going to answer those right now, because I'm going to move from the partner tab to the animal tab. And I think that's actually a great situation to talk about as to what this means. Again, a lot of this may seem a little overwhelming, but I want to kind of highlight some of the functionality, and then we're happy to help you guys. So the idea is that you can import animals, you can add them. We have the ability to import animals from many of the shelter management softwares, or you can use the Doobert mobile apps, or you can literally just go, for example, go quick add an animal and punch them in. Once the animal is in Doobert, you'll see that one of the things you can do is you can turn on this, this feature. So there's transfer, adopt, or org transfer only. And you'll notice that they're mutually exclusive, right? So if I turn one on, the other one goes off, because what we're doing was we're marking this animal. So in this case, Tootsie, the animal, her profile is marked as either transfer or adopt, versus Tiny Tim, the cat, is marked as an organization transfer only. So depending upon how you want those animals to be, quote, advertised, I guess, you have the ability to do that. And what this will do, so if you looked at these things, you can see how I've got these different ones. That on that page, when we search for our partner, and I'll go back to our partners, when we click show available animals, those are the on-offs that are used to trigger which animals show up here. And the cool part about this is, so if I was looking in a different organization there, but the cool part about this is if I come back to my animal tab, if I turn these on or off, what it's going to allow me to do is real-time indicate to my partners. So when they're coming and searching me, it's going to allow me to real-time indicate. So if I went through Doobert in our org and I turned them all off and I said, hey, we don't have anybody to transfer, when somebody clicks on that button, they'll see nothing. And then if you had some new ones, you go back and you add them and turn them on, they'll immediately show up on that list. So kind of to answer your question, if you've got animals that are on your list that you're trying to get some socialization for and transfer them out, if you add them into Doobert and mark them as available, either to transfer or to transfer or adopt, they'll show up and other organizations can request them. Now, I'm going to, before I pause and see if there's something else on that question, I do want to point out to other organizations that what they can do is they can now search for animals, or they can actually set up animal profile notifications. So the person that was asking the question is what I consider a source organization. And for anybody else that's listening saying, hey, listen, we'd love to see what animals you have and see what would work well in our community, you can come set up your animal profile notifications, and Doobert will automatically email you when there's a matching animal. So you can see your location, the radius to search. You can have it search and send you only your partners or coalitions, and you can then choose the types of animals that you want to receive notifications for. And if you want, we do separate the specific breed. And then to her question, we do actually have a mixed breed because I'm a very big believer in that it's more about the animal and the size and things like that than just the breed. But we do have that feature, so if somebody wants to only look for a specific breed, you know, let Doobert do their work for you. So you'll notice, by the way, throughout the system, you'll see these Learn More buttons. These are going to pop up little, you know, videos, real short videos. You can see this one's 1 minute and 27 seconds. So little features throughout the system that'll explain. So when you come back out to this later and you go, what was Chris saying about how do I do this? Don't be afraid to click on that video. It'll show you exactly how to do that. All right, now
I'm gonna tell you that we've got a few more questions coming in, and one of them kind of relates to what you're talking about now about entering animals in and making them available. So Sarah wants to know if there is any plan to integrate with shelter management softwares like ShelterLove to allow them to easily move animals to needing transport from that tracking system.
Yes. So in the Animals tab, you'll see this Import Upload button. That's going to take you out to your organization setting page, and I'm going to kind of highlight for you in the upper right corner. You can import your animal profiles from a number of different places. So for those of you that use, yeah, right, rescue groups, you can import from Adopt a Pet, ShelterLove, Shelter Buddy, and Shelter Manager. So I'm sure for those of you that are on PetPoint, you're like, hey, Chris, where's PetPoint? I would love to be able to import from PetPoint. So maybe you can talk to your PetPoint reps and say, hey, why won't you guys let Doobert import? Because we're more than happy to make that feature available. We just haven't been able to get PetPoint to allow us to do that. So our workaround for that is PetPoint allows you to adopt or move them to Adopt a Pet or put them on Adopt a Pet. So then what you can do is you can simply go in here and actually import them from your Adopt a Pet. So it's a two-step for those of you that are using PetPoint, but I'm quite sure if all of you guys are asking for that feature, that then PetPoint would be willing to allow us to import those animals. And then I will just mention for those of you who are on ShelterLove, actually starting Monday, we're going to start working on a new feature to actually automate the import from ShelterLove. So you'll see the way that these work today is you come out here, we give you, there's a little bit of setup because we have to get a unique code and all that. But once you do that, you'll see what we're doing is we'll reach into ShelterLove in this case, and we'll show you the animals, right? That then you come through here and you click the ones that you want to import into Doobert. And it works the same for the other ones. So Tiger, Lily, Stacy, if I go back to my animals, you'll see that they automatically show up there, right? And then you can turn these things on or off. The feature that we're going to start working on Monday related to ShelterLove is to help you automate this so that you won't have to do anything. Doobert will automatically reach out every 15 minutes and, you know, take the latest statuses and automatically upload those animals. So super excited to get that in the process, and that'll be a happy new year that we'll be able to give you guys that feature.
That's awesome. So if they import right now before that automated feature is available, they just need to choose how often they want to import, and then it'll sub out and not create duplications if they have to import on a regular basis to make sure the most current population is showing there.
Yeah, so right now the import function is kind of a manual trigger, if you will, right? You saw what I did is I went to import, right, and then I clicked on, I don't have a shelter or Adopt a Pet one. I basically just click on the one I want to do, and it's going to list the animals. So that's what we're going to try and focus on, is making it so that you don't have to keep doing that. But you can see those that I imported already don't show up, so that you don't have a duplicate animal in your organization.
Okay.
Yep, great question.
I do have some more questions. Do you want me to bring them in now, or do you have some things that you want to make sure to show us before? I don't want to derail.
Sure. I do want to get to the transport, since that's what we're trying to do here. So again, there's other things you can see in here. Feel free to poke around in here, but I do want to make sure that we cover our transport, since I said I was going to do that, and then we'll take some more questions.
Perfect.
So on the transport tab, so now that you've found the partner you want to work with, now that you've got the animal profiles that you want to transfer, exciting part, drum roll please, right? It's time to do the transport. And there's 4 ways that we talked about that Doobert does these: the rescue relay, the local ride, the airline, and the Lyft that you're offering, the route that you're offering to other organizations. So I'm going to do the local ride first and then do the rescue relay transport. So for those of you that want to do local rides is like a one-leg transport, one volunteer. Works similar but slightly different. You'll see we can publish a new ride. You can pre-set up your favorite rides if you want, or you can just do a quick addition and say where are they going from and to. You can do one-way and round-trip rides. You can do text notifications. This is for you as the transport coordinator. So when volunteers sign up, they have the option to opt in to text notifications. But you as the transport coordinator, if you want to get a text message when a volunteer signs up so that you don't have to be checking back or checking your email, you can totally do that. For a ride, you're picking the date, you're picking the time. You know, you can see I can select from my favorite rides, and then passenger information, right? So if you're just doing kittens, we don't make you enter in specific profiles, but you can certainly pick from your organization, right? So I could pick wrinkles here. Pretty simple for you to do. We pull all that information in, and then all you would have to do is hit publish ride. So you can, remember, you can use Doobert on your laptop, on your iPad, on your phone, whatever you want, so that we try to make the rides in particular super, super simple, so that with just a few clicks, you can create a ride and then you can go back to doing what you're doing. You see Doobert created a unique transport page just for this ride. So 6671 is this unique, transport number. It's got my information as the transport coordinator, but as I mentioned, the advanced features before, you have the option to hide that. So if you don't want that information to display, you can see, as I did mention, we plot everything on Google Maps so that people can see all that, and all the information is out here so that the volunteer that comes out to this page, right? So remember, Doobert's going to send emails and send text messages and direct them to this page. I know one of the questions people had is, hey, can we advertise our own transports on Facebook? Absolutely. You can see these buttons up here. So you can simply, I don't know if it'll work because I'm in my text, but oh, actually it did. You see how easy it is. You just click the share, right? You say something about it. We'll create this post. We actually even have some templates for you to choose. What do you want the post to look like? Again, advanced features. You can post it onto Facebook, onto Twitter, Google+, and email. So that, remember, Doobert has a big population of volunteers, but certainly there's always more needed, and the more socialization you can do, the more likely that transport is to fill. So then I'll touch briefly on the rescue relay transport because it's slightly different. Again, notice the learn more buttons throughout just to try and give you that resource. So if I go to add a new transport, you'll see I can name my transport. And I just simply, for a rescue relay transport, a longer distance, I'm going to have it pick up on Friday, right, and end on Sunday. Generally, people ask, how long does it take to fill? I always say the longer the distance, the more time. So a week to 2 weeks is about how far in advance we recommend for transports, you know, that could be 20 or 30 legs. And for those of you that are asking, yes, there are people that do 20-leg and 30-leg transports very successfully. We have a lot of very passionate volunteers that want to help. So the sending, receive, you can see sending defaults in with us, receiving party. You can use our type ahead feature, right, to find the organization. And the passengers, the from and to automatically defaults in if you do that. This is the story. So we always recommend when you're doing rescue relay transports, give a good story. Why are these animals being transported? What's their backstory? You're dealing with volunteers. The more passionate story you can give, we found, is the more likely people are to sign up for that transport. Again, I'll just quickly pick an animal. And then when you go to save and continue, there's a couple of cool features here that you're going to want to take a look at. One is you can split your transport into legs. So that one you saw I was going from Wisconsin all the way down to Florida. So if you want, if you know exactly the stops for this transport, by all means, we want to give you the power to do that. The feature I'm going to show you here in a second is the auto split feature, which is one of my favorite features, where we'll automatically break that into legs for you. So that you don't have to know exactly where are the stopping points, or how far is 60 miles along this route. And then we've even been trying to train up volunteer transport coordinators. We know you guys are all busy, So if you need to, you can actually send it to our transport volunteers. It works kind of like a job board. We'll take your transport, we'll add it on our job board, and we'll let volunteers actually pick it and assign it to themselves, and then we'll connect you with them. So they'll be kind of like your temporary transport coordinator just for that transport. But for the purposes of this one, to show you how AutoSplit works, I'm going to select that. You'll see it says, break it into miles. Default is 60. We can even add handoff time between the legs, earliest start and end time. I'm going to hit continue. Doobert's going to go ahead, and now it's working in the background. Google Maps. For the longer ones, it'll tell you it's still splitting, so it takes a few minutes, but you can immediately start to look at this transport. You can see we've already broken it down into legs, even inserted an overnight leg, right? So it's done all of the work, and then you can modify all of these, you can move them around, whatever, and then when you hit save and publish, Doobert is emailing the drivers and pilots automatically. We do have both drivers and pilots. And then they'll be able to come out here. They'll automatically get an email. They'll be able to come out and check out this transport, sign up, and you'll be able to see real time if somebody's signed up for this transport. You'll see that the transport leg now goes away, right? So I just did that one real quick to show you. Me as a volunteer and the transport coordinator, right? So I signed up for my own transport, so it marks that leg complete. Completed being signed up for, and then the open legs goes down, right? So now leg one is already covered. So now I will pause, just since I got through at least showing you how to do some of those transports, and let's see what we got for questions.
All righty, so I'm trying to pull in the things that are a little more relevant to what's going on right now. One of the questions from Jamie Archer is that she wants to know if both the receiving organization and the sending organization need to both be a part of the Doobert network, or if she has dogs selected, can the receiving organization handle all of the Doobert transport aspects?
Yeah, really good question. So the answer is no, they don't both have to be on Doobert. We've tried to make this flexible. So you'll see when you go to create a transport, we default you in as the sending, but the receiving party can be a person, right? So it can be a person, it can be another organization. It doesn't, either the sending or the receiving organization can generate the transport request in Doobert.
Okay, awesome. So in talking about volunteers in general, Mike Greenberg wants to know, with the 20,000 volunteers that you guys have, just to describe a little bit about how those volunteers are vetted so that those rescue and shelters feel confident in that process.
Yeah, so as I mentioned with volunteers, right? So when they sign up as a volunteer, we consider them a general volunteer, right? So it's, as you know, when you're dealing with online, it's hard to know who's behind the computer. So what we do is there's this Doobert verified process that what we do is when somebody requests to be Doobert verified, so we don't currently require it, but certainly you can require it if you want for volunteers to be a part of your transport. We will actually get a copy. We make them send us a photocopy of their driver's license so we can use that to verify that the information on their profile matches their driver's license, that they're over 18, they have a valid driver's license, things like that. And then, as I mentioned, for volunteers, we'll actually check their references. So we'll make sure that we check the references that they give us. We get every reference gets checked, and then we'll actually do public record searching on that volunteer to get as much information as possible to make sure that they're the type of volunteer that we want in Doobert. So it's not a full background check because that gets into some different challenges, but we do our best to make sure that they're legit. And the final thing I'll mention on this is that every volunteer has a rating. So you can see up here the little paws, they're not lit, but when they participate in a transport, you as the transport coordinator will be able to rate them on a 1 to 5, just like Yelp or any of the other ones. And they'll be able to rate the other volunteers. So what they're doing is actually building up a rating. So you'll be able to see that rating throughout the system for determining the types of volunteers that you want to work with. And then the last thing I'll say is, because you have complete control over your volunteers, we do have features in here. You can add your own preferred volunteers. You have the ability to block a particular volunteer if you had a bad experience with them. So we tried to bring as big of a population as possible, but then we try to give you the features that if you want to, lock it down a little bit further and only have specific volunteers working for your organization, or you want to block a particular person, you can do that. If you block a volunteer, they'll no longer get your transport request. It'll be as though that you don't exist in the system, but they'll still be allowed to get other organizations' requests.
Awesome, thank you. I'm going to give you some good feedback too. That's positive stuff coming in. Sherry wanted to tell you that she feels like the trading post option on the partners tab is a great idea, and you've got people who are definitely excited about your Shelter Love import project. And so Alicia Travis is curious if you have a timeline for the Shelter Love import project.
Of course, right? So like I said, the plan is I've got some work to do this weekend to write up the specs for my developers, and we'll start on that next week. So I'll tell you for sure by the end of January, but I'm even targeting a little sooner if I can get it done by January 15th. But plan by the end of January for sure. I promise it'll be done by then. And we'll make sure that we're advertising that, in our Doobert Facebook page, newsletter, emails and things like that going out so that you're aware of it.
Okay, the last one I have in the queue is, can you import, this is Renee Calloway asking if you can import or provide a link to a video in the animal profile, for example, if you want to show a dog meet and greet.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, so what we've done with the animal profiles, and I'm going to come down here just to kind of show you, for managing animal profiles, every animal has a full profile. What you're seeing here is just kind of like the list view. But if I were to click on Wrinkles the cat here, you can see I'll actually get a full profile on an animal. And there's a lot more that you can do. We tried to keep the features very simple for those people that only need the very basic. But you can see there's a button here to edit the animal profile. You can actually even create a fundraiser specific to that particular animal. But there's kind of a mini shelter management software behind an animal profile. So on the right-hand side, you can add photos, you can add videos. So if you want to add a video, you can see, just copy and paste your YouTube video link there. You can kind of keep track of particular costs on that animal if you want. Some people have actually created social media pages for a specific animal. So if you want to add those, you can do that. For those of you that may not have that, or that may use, for example, Excel as your shelter management software, you're free to use all of the features of Doobert if they're helpful to you. So we've got some basic, general medical transport tab, just kind of some information. It's like I said, it's not a full shelter management software. That wasn't our goal. Is we wanted to have a place where you can have animal profiles, and if you didn't have a shelter management software, to give you some basic information that you could attach. But definitely you can attach photos, videos, profile story, all sorts of things.
Awesome. I do have a couple more. Is there anything you want to make sure you proactively show before I serve up these couple of additional questions that we have?
No, I do want to call out the trading post for the person that mentioned that. So thank you. This is a relatively new feature that it was actually a suggestion from a Doobert organization. So just want to remind you, we love suggestions. I love suggestions. So the idea of the trading post is that you can list items that you need or that you can offer. So kind of, it is what it is, right? A trading post. So you can see, what the items are. Again, you can add new items that you're able to do, and then you can actually set triggers. So if I go back here, I can actually set notifications. So if somebody does anything of a particular type, I can set an alert and automatically get a notification. So just wanted to highlight that since she mentioned it.
Yeah, awesome. I am loving all of these comments and questions coming in, so thank you guys. Keep them coming. So Sarah Rink wants to know, on the relay transports, does it allow for updates during the transport? Meaning, if she hands off a dog to the next person, can she say, quote, done, and have it text the coordinator to say done, or does she still need to use messenger/texting from drivers to track the status of the relay?
Yeah, really good question, Sarah. And I'll answer it kind of in two ways here. So I'll just show you real quick. One of the ways that we do in Doobert to know that a transport is locked and actually happening is when you as the organization confirm the transport. So imagine if all of these people were all signed up, all of my legs were filled. What we do here is we actually will generate the run sheet. So once I confirm the transport, you'll see that there are additional features essentially that start to happen that it's hard for me to do because I'm the transport coordinator, but there's a feature in here that you'll see that there's a little button that'll show up that'll say mark leg is completed. Now, right now I don't have that automatically texting or anything like that. Just haven't gotten to that level of complexity yet, but we do generate the run sheet. We do try to make it easy so that a volunteer can come in, or you as the TC can come in here and mark that leg complete, so that when people can check this page real time, again, on their phone, whatever. So we have this transport page up, pretty much forever. They can track real time, and if everybody in the transport was marking their legs complete on Doobert, then everybody else would be able to see kind of the progress of it. So it is a future goal of mine to add the text notification part in there. It's just not done yet.
Perfect, thank you. All right, I am down to Troy, and she wants to know what happens if someone on a multi-leg transport does not show up. Is there something in place that will alert someone else on the list?
Yeah, good question, and it's something that for people that don't do a lot of these, they'll ask. So I can tell you in the 5 years that Doobert has been up and running, I can count on one hand the number of times a volunteer just straight up did not show up. There certainly are instances where people, something happens or whatever that might be, but I do want to reassure you that it's few and far between. So it's not like every single week somebody's just not showing up at all for a transport. So in the unfortunate case that does happen, there's no automatic way for us to really do much, right? But you as the TC, the transport coordinator, we try to give you the features, right? So you can actually go back into the transport, you can pull up that volunteer map, you can contact other volunteers. What I found the most common thing that happens is if somebody isn't there, the volunteers from the previous leg and the volunteer from the next leg usually will agree to try and drive, each will drive a little bit further to try and close the gap. You can reach out to any Doobert volunteers. So if you couldn't make that happen, you could try and get a substitute volunteer. You could try and get an emergency overnight foster. I don't have anything, again, automated specifically, but I'm open to ideas. So if there's an idea that somebody says, hey, what you could do is this, happy to consider it.
Perfect. This is kind of a follow-up, and you may have partially answered this when you talked about texting during a relay transport, but can you clarify and describe what happens after a transport has been fully completed, and does Doobert send an email letting you know the transport's complete? And kind of a secondary to that is, where are the completed transports kept?
Yeah, okay, so let me answer the second one first, just because it'll be a little bit easier. So on the transport tab, we've got create and we've got manage, right? So if you go to transports and rides, you'll see that there's a completed button, even a cancel button, right? So that one, once you mark it confirmed, we consider a transport, completed once the date has passed, because you've confirmed that transport has taken place, and then you can certainly come back into the transport here. So it's a great question, and let me explain to you what happens when the life cycle of a transport. So you create the transport request. That transport is open to signups. You can see on the transport tab the number of legs and the percentage of the transport, so how many legs are filled on that particular transport. So like this one as an example, 4 of 20 legs filled. Again, this is all real-time information, so you'll see this. Once you've published a transport, Doobert automatically emails all the volunteers, and then as volunteers sign up, you'll get an email. You as the transport coordinator will notify you that another volunteer signed up, so that you can kind of keep track of where it's at. You'll be able to come in here again real time to see how many legs are covered. When that volunteer signs up, they also will get an email automatically from the Doobert system, so nothing that you need to do. We'll email them, we'll provide them the information for the leg that they signed up for, and so that we're doing our best to kind of keep them informed. We provide them your contact information as the transport coordinator, so that if they've got a question, they can reach out to you, because Doobert's the software, right? But we're not personally coordinating every transport. When you confirm a transport, so we remind you a couple of days before, hey, don't forget to confirm your transport. What Doobert will do is Doobert will actually generate what we call the run sheet. For those of you that have done these, I'm going to actually show you a run sheet here. Doobert generates the run sheet actually in PDF. Save it here and then I can open it. And automatically emails this run sheet to all of the volunteers. So this, goes out to them. It says this is confirmed, it's a go. We copy all the lake information, right? The driver information, so they have each other's information. So they can certainly get this real time in the system, but we automatically send them this run sheet, which has all the information. You can see a lot of it's not populated just because we didn't actually have people signing up for the transport. But that is all automated. And then finally, even after the transport, we encourage the volunteers to come back and to share their pictures, so that you as the transport coordinator, right, can talk about the success and share the pictures with the receiving organization or with your other volunteers to get more people to join.
Thank you, thank you. So we have about 4 minutes left. I also want to tell you, Chris, that the SPCA of Hancock County has your back, because they use PetPoint. They're going to investigate how they can let PetPoint know that they want them to work with you. So that's good news.
Awesome.
I want to put the all call out there for anyone else that may not have had a chance to get their question in there, to sneak it in here at the tail end as we're down to the last few minutes. Another really popular thing that I think you highlighted, but I'm not sure if everybody caught it, is that we know many of you are managing a lot of your transports today via Facebook groups, and sometimes many of them. So we want to reinforce, Chris keeps calling it his Christmas gift to you guys, about the fact that this will integrate with those groups so that you feel like you can utilize Doobert centrally. So do you want to just kind of re-emphasize that and make sure they understand how that works?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad to. So we've tried really hard to integrate as much as we can to the social media platforms to make it easy on you guys. So certainly for transports, as we talked about on the transport page, you can share them automatically. On the animal tab, I do want to point out as well, right? So you can share them here. We are waiting, and I'm still waiting on Facebook. So the moment it's live, trust me, I will be blasting out on this. One of the features that we've developed, and we're just waiting on Facebook's approval, and so I'm super excited. The way this will work is that when you turn one of these on, we'll actually automatically post that. Let me show the thing here. We'll actually post that automatically to our Facebook groups and to any other Facebook groups that you want to add to your profile. So I want to be really clear, this feature is not yet approved by Facebook. I'm confident. We've been waiting for a while now, over a month, for them to review this. I think they're a little backlog with some of the challenges they've had, but when this is live, this will be super awesome, because not only will you be able to automatically push these to Facebook just by turning these things on, you'll actually be able to automatically unpost them from Facebook. So for example, my cat Wrinkles here, if Wrinkles gets adopted out, I simply turn this off. It'll automatically unpost from Facebook. I already showed you before that it pulls Wrinkles off the list of available animals that other organizations see. So we're doing our best to try and save you guys as much time as possible. And then we'll even integrate this feature when we automate the Shelter Love piece. So that if, for example, in Shelter Love, you mark the animal as adopted, we'll turn these off. We'll actually archive Wrinkles the cat, so he won't be on Doobert anymore, and we'll pull him off of Facebook. So I'm hopeful that Facebook is going to approve this any day. And as soon as they do, I will make sure to let everybody know.
Awesome, awesome. Okay, we have 1 minute left, and Renee Callie wants to know, if there's a delay during a transfer, is there a way to send a notification to future leg drivers?
Well, that's a really good suggestion. No, I don't have an automatic way right now, but that's a good one that I'll take down and figure out how we can do that.
Okay, and the transport sheet, can that be printed? Does it have the dog or cat information on each leg, or do they need to go back to the main page to see that information?
Oh no, yes, you can print it. It's a PDF, and it actually has. I didn't scroll down far enough on the page to show you, but it does have all the information of the profiles you put there, including the picture. People can, it's hyperlinks, so they can click on it and see more information as well.
Awesome, voila! I think we got all the questions that came in. We just want to thank you again, Chris, for the time that you took today to share these things with us and to allow people to ask questions in the moment. So in this case, talking quickly benefited us, right?
Yeah.
As we wrap, you guys, I want you to know that yes, we will be sending you a follow-up email that has the recording of this session so that you can refer back to it, pause it, look through it as you need to, and make sure to come into our community group that you can see on the screen and ask us questions. We're engaging with you there, and we're glad that you are engaging with us there. And just know that we're here to support you. We're excited that you're excited, and we want to make sure that this works the way you want it. And Chris is super open to feedback, so keep it coming. Hopefully I caught everybody. I think I did. You have got a lot of comments in here, Chris, about how excited people are. So let's keep that energy alive. As far as power hours are concerned, we do have one coming next week on the 20th of December that's called Leadership for Lifesaving with two powerhouse leaders, Tawny Hammond and Jose Acano. So we hope that you'll continue to join us with these ongoing power hours in general. We'll send that out when we give you the email for this one of any upcoming power hours that we want you to know about. Thank you so much for your time, and have a wonderful rest of your week. Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.